Foraging for transdisciplinary challenges, Emergent Industrial Themes. This paper is written in conjunction with the TREND team at the University of Bath, partnered with the Universities of Surrey and Bristol. The TREND team specialise in transdisciplinary engineering approaches and aim to provide quality research into the provision of tools and methods for a transdisciplinary industry. The authors that conducted the initial foraging interview work were working for the University of Bath at the time of the investigation, and this work is supported by the EPSRC. There is a large gap in the research investigating transdisciplinary in industry. Much work has first focused upon creating core and robust definitions of what transdisciplinarity should mean for engineering, or TE for short. Work has been establishing a TE language and agenda, but it is now time to move this forward into industrial research and to consider what transdisciplinarity means for them in real terms, and to consider the extent it is already prevalent or exists in alternative guises. Hence the title of the paper is Foraging for Transdisciplinary Challenges and the Emergent Industrial Themes, and it is aimed to be a first step into researching the prevalence of TD projects and what approaches are already being used and the enabling and disabling practices that are currently being utilised within engineering industries. Research approach and sample descriptive. The approach taken in this work forms part of a case study being undertaken in the work by TREND. We have yet to find examples within TD literature that explicitly research the prevalence of TD within industry, and hence this research has been exploratory. For this reason, semi-structured interviews using 5 questions have offered a platform for both investigating the extent that TD is already present within industry and into the language utilised and whether it does not yet match that of academia or whether TD is explicitly not acknowledged. It has also provided a platform for beginning to communicate complex, primordial academic ideas about TD methods and the benefits and the support needs of industry to be able to uptake such approaches. This has begun to break down language barriers to create a common vocabulary and explore the enablers and disablers that already exist and to support those mechanisms that need to be built upon. The industrial sample explored provided the length and breadth of engineering audiences, ranging throughout the design and engineering and manufacture process, from product inception through to service and repair. It also studied industries creating large complex products to bespoke individualized products or intangible software products. The size and scale of the industry operations also ranged from small single-person enterprises to large industrial operations with over 44,000 employees. In total, 13 interviews were conducted and over 600 hours of transcripts have been analysed, providing a rich, qualitative discourse together with empirical data. Interview highlights. The data collected from the interviews are primary efforts to engage industry in transdisciplinary approaches. It is intentionally explorative, meaning our findings have been diverse. In our questions, we first asked whether the term transdisciplinary is one that had been come across previously. While 5 of our 13 interviewees had heard of the term, in fact, only one of those had any real understanding of the term's definition and understood it in respect of their current role. Each interview yielded good examples from industry where there are current projects being conducted that are transdisciplinary in nature. This suggests that transdisciplinary engineering is already prevalent in industry and that approaches to support projects such as this are in fact highly relevant. However, the descriptions given of these projects do not support the disciplinary language currently being used in academia, but are understood in terms of their societal purpose and the diversity of expertise that is needed to participate and work together to achieve good outcomes. The projects include diverse examples from the design and international installation of a statue to software applications or the design and build of bespoke wheelchairs. It is also evident that the projects discussed span the length of a product's development from its inception to manufacture and service. There are, however, collective themes that can be distilled from the project enablers and disablers facing industry. The need for being transdisciplinary is not agreed by some, although this could be exacerbated by the limited understanding of such approaches. In examples such as in enabling human project elements, there were also many disabling human practices that are also present. This suggests the problems industry face are not solved by the current solutions. Key findings and future direction. Many findings could be surmised from the interviews and its analysis. However, of interest for future research include the following. 1. Industry is not using the term TD to describe themselves or projects, meaning a common language between research and industry does not yet exist, and this needs to be overcome to be able to effectively investigate the support that industry need. 2. Industry bears many current TD project examples, and this suggests that support approaches are valid and much needed. 3. TD is viewed positively, with more enabling factors suggested than there are disabling. However, it remains that the enablers that are there presently do not mitigate for the disabling practices that are there. The verbal descriptions given are also suggestive that change is still much needed to overcome these challenges in industry. 4. Interestingly, human working is perceived as the most enabling project feature and the most disabling project feature. Other important enabling features are communication and tools or training. Other important disablers are management and conflicting project concerns. The issues raised by conflicting concerns in a project, management, and global working appear to be the most significant for industry, as there are few current solutions given to these particular problems. Conclusions and contacts. To conclude our discussion, I would just like to highlight that we set out to investigate the prevalence and need for TD in current engineering industries. We conducted 13 semi-structured interviews with industry managers. Our key findings include that industrial TD exists, but it is not named this in industry, as only 5 of our interviewees had even heard of the TD term, and the definitions given varied between companies. None of these definitions aligned with primordial definitions, such as those by Jansch. The disabling industrial concerns, such as mitigating conflicting concerns in a project, international or global working, and effective management appear to be the most pressing concerns for researchers going forward and to develop support approaches. First steps for research now include secondary analysis of the transcripts and studies to corroborate with industrial literature to create a shared language and hence understanding between industry and academia. This would much support communication. Enablers highlighted, such as communicating with people in industry, will be key to be able to test and implement potential TD interventions. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation. I look forward to answering your questions.